So it occurs to me that while I did a video kind of explaining how these controls work, I didn't really give you sound samples. So this is going to be kind of an update to it. Just to very briefly go over the controls. Blend is the mix of your delay. I tend to keep it right below half. Feedback is your number of repeats. Once you get into this third quadrant, it starts to get oscillaty. Down here is more slapbacky, and then the repeats kind of increase. We've got rate, which is just their built-in metronome. Never really used that. Sweep section is all the modulation of the delay. So, if depth's all the way down, you're not going to hear any modulation. As you bring it up, you'll hear more modulation. You can see here, depending on how I put speed, it's either going to be moving my sound really quickly or much slower. When I use this, I tend to do the Nels thing of putting the depth around here and the speed around maybe here. But sometimes I don't use it at all. And then we've got the delay repeats. So you got coarse and fine. Fine will change your pitch, and coarse will just sort of change what is being repeated. So I think I'll start with the Frippertronics sound, and then I'll kind of go into more traditional delays. So it's on right now, but even if it was off, it's always recording. And what you set these to is going to determine what's going to come back. So if both of these are all the way up, think about it like all of this is time of your loop. So the further down these are, the less time you have to be repeated. But the further up these are, the more time you have, right? Because these are your delay repeats. So this is all the way up. So I'm going to start playing. And to be dramatic, maybe I'll play without the pedal on and then I'll turn it on. So you can kind of hear. There it is. Let's get a bit more volume. Right now I'm playing over the loop. Now, because the infinite switch isn't engaged, the loop's just going to fade away eventually, unless I hit the infinite. Now, this is no longer acting as a looper. I could play anything I want over it, even something really wrong. Actually, that's not the worst possible note. Here's a bad note. Right, that's an E flat 7 in the key of D. It's not going to be repeating anything because the infinite knob is engaged. Now from here, I've got options. I can speed up my loop because it was recorded in slow mode. Now, if this was recorded in fast mode, all I could do was slow it down. So the placement of this matters. And then here, I can put my loop into reverse. Now, if I move the coarse knob, it's going to change not the pitch, but the portion of my loop that's being repeated. This is apparently not that great of a loop. But you can see down here it's repeating a shorter amount. Up here it repeats more. Let me disengage this and then we'll bring in a better loop. just made it busier. So if I bring this down, each quadrant is a different section of the loop, with the bottom always being stuttery. A little bit longer. Third quadrant, a little bit longer, and fourth, your full length. Fine is where it changes the pitch and the speed. So as I go down, it's going to get faster and higher in pitch. So I tend to use the fine knob for more psychedelic sounds, and the coarse knob for more tonal. Let's turn some of this modulation on so you can really hear it. Now you'll notice the pitch is really changing because the modulation speed. Full depth, lowest speed. Full speed, lowest depth. And then you bring both of these down and it kind of stops the loop because this is the lowest amount of repeats. Bring it back up and it comes in again. So you kind of just have to wait for it to die. So as you can see, there's a lot of options there with the Vibratronics kind of loop thing. And that's mainly how I use this pedal. But there's also just a great general slapbacky delay sound. If you put the repeats at the lowest, you switch this to fast, feedback all the way down, blend in about the middle. I like that as a slapback sound. And of course, if I want more repeats, I bring the feedback up. You can hear there's a little bit more. If I want more time between those repeats, I'll just bring coarse and fine up. And let's turn our vibration, or our mod down. So you can get a lot of cool sounds out of this. Cool delay sounds. It's a little unpredictable, but if you can hang with the unpredictability, then it becomes a really fun device. If you get, like I said, this is like it gets into oscillation around here, so I'll give you sort of an example of that. Learn something new. So apparently the farther up these are, the less likely the feedback is going to send it into oscillation. But the closer it is to the bottom, the more the oscillation comes into play. As you can see, it's a really fun noise generator. I will kind of just set these very randomly to different places and see how they sound. Like I said, I like both all the way on the bottom for slapback, both all the way on the top for Vibratronics. This is another fun one, fine all the way down and coarse all the way up. It just gives you a much more tight amount of stuff to vibratronically loop if you want. There's also coarse all the way down and fine all the way up. Which I think is a nice delay. Nice amount of delay. So, it's a cool pedal. I understand why if you wanted more control, you might go with something like a blooper, which I think does a lot of similar stuff. But sometimes you really crave not being in control and having to work within limitations, and that's what I think this thing's great for.